The Viking Age, a time that conjures images of longships cutting through the gray North Sea, of raids and exploration, of sagas told by firelight. But how did these people, the Norsemen, trade? What was their money? Before the turn of the first millennium, Norway didn't have its own coins. It was a land without a national currency. The economy ran on something far more tangible, something you could weigh in your hand. Commerce was a world of barter, where a good axe might be traded for a fine woolen cloak, or a cow for a barrel of grain. Value was a matter of negotiation, a direct exchange of goods and services between people. But Vikings were also great traders, and they needed a more flexible way to do business. This is where silver comes into the story, not in the form of neat round coins, but as raw, beautiful bullion. They used what we now call hack silver. Imagine a Viking merchant taking a magnificent silver bracelet, perhaps one taken in raid in Ireland or Francia, and simply chopping it into pieces with an axe. These chunks of silver, along with whole pieces of jewelry like arm rings and brooches, were weighed on small portable scales. This was the currency of the day. Your wealth wasn't counted, it was weighed. Alongside this chopped-up treasure, foreign coins circulated widely throughout the Norse lands. Silver dirhams from the great Islamic caliphates in the east found their way up the rivers of Russia. Their intricate Arabic script, a sign of a vast and interconnected world. Anglo-Saxon pennies from England and coins from the German kingdoms were also common. These coins were valued not for their face value or the king's portrait they carried, but purely for the weight and purity of their silver. They were often just thrown into the mix, another source of bullion to be tested, weighed, and sometimes hacked into smaller pieces. This system worked, but it was cumbersome. Every transaction required scales and weights. You had to trust that the silver wasn't mixed with cheaper metals. It was a system based on raw material value, not on a state-guaranteed standard. For a land on the cusp of becoming a unified kingdom, something had to change. The age of simply weighing silver was coming to an end. A new idea was sailing over the horizon, an idea that would stamp a king's authority not just on the land, but on the very metal that people carried in their pouches. Enter King Olaf Tryggvason, a true figure of the sagas, a man whose life was a whirlwind of adventure, violence, and ambition. Born into Norwegian royalty, he spent his early years as an exile and a Viking raider, harrying the coasts of England. It was there, in the relatively organized Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, that he saw the power of a unified currency. He saw how English kings used coins to project their authority, to collect taxes, and to standardize trade. When Olaf returned to Norway around 995 AD to claim the throne, he brought this powerful idea with him. He was a man with a grand vision. Olaf's mission was twofold. He wanted to unite the scattered, feuding earldoms of Norway under a single crown, his crown. But he also carried a new faith. Having converted to Christianity while in England, he was determined to turn his homeland away from the old gods, from Odin and Thor, and towards the Christian cross. These two goals, political unification and religious conversion, were intertwined, and he found a perfect tool to promote both: the coin. He would create Norway's very first national coin, a silver penny, a piece of metal that was both money and a message. The coin Olaf created was a declaration. It was a small, thin disc of silver, but it was packed with meaning. On one side, it carried his own name, inscribed as Onlaf Rex Nor, which translates to Olaf, King of the Norwegians. This was a bold and unprecedented statement. Before this, no ruler had claimed such a title over all of Norway on a coin. It was a direct challenge to the regional jarls and a clear signal to the people that a new central power had arrived. The coin was a piece of propaganda you could hold in your hand. On the other side of the coin, a simple, elegant cross was stamped into the silver. This was just as important as the king's name. In a land where many still worshipped the Old Norse pantheon, placing the cross on the official currency was a powerful religious statement. Every time a person used one of these pennies, they were holding a symbol of the new Christian faith. Olaf was using his money to spread the word of God. The coin was no longer just a piece of silver, it was an instrument of the king's political will and a testament to his new religion. How was this revolutionary piece of metal made? Each of Olaf's pennies was a product of pure craftsmanship. They were made from silver, the metal of choice for high-value currency across Europe. The process was entirely manual, a far cry from the automated mints of today. A skilled craftsman, known as a moneyer, would take a small measured amount of silver and hammer it flat into a thin circular disc called a blank. This blank was then placed between two iron dies. The bottom die, the anvil die, was fixed in place, while the top die, the punch, was held by hand. With the silver blank sandwiched between them, the moneyer would strike the top die with a heavy hammer, a single, sharp blow. This powerful impact would impress the designs engraved on the dies into the soft silver, creating the image of the cross on one side and the king's inscription on the other. This hand-striking method, known as hammering, is why these old coins are often slightly off-center and irregular in shape. Each one is unique, bearing the subtle marks of the human hands that created it over 1,000 years ago. The design of the coin wasn't a Norwegian invention. Olaf borrowed heavily from what he had seen in England. The style of the penny, its weight, and its silver purity were all based on the well-respected Anglo-Saxon pennies of the time, particularly those of King Ethelred the Unready. This was a clever move. By mimicking the English standard, Olaf ensured his new coins would be trusted and accepted in international trade. He even likely brought skilled moneyers back from England to oversee the production and train local craftsmen in this new art. So, where were these pioneering coins made? The historical records are silent, but the most likely location is Nidaros, the city we now know as Trondheim. Nidaros was Olaf Tryggvason's royal seat, and the political heart of his new kingdom. It makes perfect sense that he would establish his first and only mint there, right under his watchful eye. By controlling the creation of money from the center of his power, he could manage the economy, fund his armies, and ensure the quality and standard of the currency that bore his name and his cross. The introduction of the penny was a watershed moment for Norway. It marked the beginning of a true monetary economy, moving the nation away from the unpredictable world of barter and weight-based silver. With a standardized coin, trade became simpler and more efficient. A merchant no longer needed to carry scales to every transaction. The king's stamp was a guarantee of the coin's weight and value, building trust and oiling the wheels of commerce both at home and abroad. It also gave the king a new and powerful tool for governing his realm. This new currency was essential for consolidating royal power. With a standardized coinage, Olaf could levy taxes more effectively. Rents, fines, and duties could be paid in a uniform currency that flowed directly into the king's treasury. This wealth in turn allowed him to pay soldiers, build ships and churches, and reward his loyal followers, strengthening his grip on the newly unified kingdom. The coin was not just an economic tool, it was a political one, binding the people of Norway to their king through a shared monetary system. Every penny in circulation was a small reminder of the king's authority. Sadly, Olaf Tryggvason's reign was short and ended violently. He was killed in the naval battle of Svolder in the year 1000, and for a short time, Norwegian coinage ceased. Foreign rulers took control of parts of the country, and the flow of Danish and English coins once again became dominant. But the seed had been planted. Olaf had shown what was possible. When Norway regained its independence under later kings like Olaf Haraldsson or Saint Olaf, they picked up where Tryggvason had left off, re-establishing a national mint and continuing the tradition of Norwegian coinage. Today, Olaf Tryggvason's pennies are extraordinarily rare. Only a small number are known to have survived the centuries. They are the holy grail for collectors of Viking-era coins. Finding one is a discovery of international importance, and their value on the open market can be immense, reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars. Each surviving example is a precious link back to a pivotal moment in Norway's birth as a nation, a tangible piece of history from the hands of its first great unifier. They are far more than just old money. They are national treasures. When you place one of Olaf's pennies next to the older forms of currency, the difference is profound. The rough, functional nature of hacksilver and the impersonal feel of foreign coins stand in stark contrast to this new object. The penny wasn't just bullion, it was a carefully crafted message. The arm rings and chopped silver spoke only of weight and wealth, but Olaf's coin spoke of identity. It declared a king, a people, the Norwegians, and a faith. It was the first time that a piece of money circulating in Norway was truly Norwegian. The coin's message was deliberately political and religious. In a turbulent world of shifting allegiances, stamping King of the Norwegians on the currency was a powerful act of state building. It drew a line in the sand, defining a new political entity. The cross, facing outwards for all to see, was equally revolutionary. It was a public rejection of the old ways and a firm alignment with Christian Europe. This small silver disc was a tool of transformation, helping to steer Norway towards a new destiny as a unified Christian kingdom, integrated into the wider European world. This single coin, created over a millennium ago, represents the dawn of a new era. It is a symbol of the transition from the fragmented tribal world of the Viking Age to the organized structure of a medieval kingdom. It marks the moment when Norway began to forge its own national identity, politically, religiously, and economically. The story of this coin is the story of Norway itself, a tale of bold leadership, profound cultural change, and the ambition to build a nation. Olaf's reign may have been brief, but the tradition he started endured. Today, Norway's first coin is revered as a foundational artifact of the nation. It is a powerful symbol of sovereignty and heritage, displayed in museums as a key piece of the country's history. It reminds Norwegians of the long and dramatic journey from Viking chieftains to a modern constitutional monarchy. In its simple silver form, it carries the weight of 1,000 years of history, representing the birth of a national economy, the establishment of royal authority, and the dawn of a new faith. It is far more than Norway's first coin. It is one of its first and most enduring national symbols.